Hey everyone, and welcome to another Game Explained discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by John Cartwright and Bell Aim to predict what might be shown in the newly announced Pokémon Direct. So, let's get started. Alright guys, so yeah, we got a surprise announcement by Nintendo and Pokémon that the first Direct of 2020 is going to be Pokémon focused. It'll air on the 9th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 a.m. Pacific, and much later in the day for you, John. So
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not quite as incredibly early as it is for us. But then it's
not that early. It's only 9:30.
It depends on where you're at, I guess, and what you're doing. But yeah, it's coming. We got new Pokemon news coming, whatever it might be. Who's to say? So, right off the bat, how are you guys feeling about this? What do you think, John?
I reckon that this might be a roadmap to correct their mistakes. They were very silent. They handled the criticism of Sword and Shield pretty poorly. And I think having a Direct this early in the year, being the first Direct of the year, could very well just sort of show where they're going to go with Sword and Shield from here on in. Because I don't think they'll do a Direct just for spin-offs. I reckon they're definitely going to talk about Sword and Shield a bit more and what they're going to do with it over 2020.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does. Because last time they didn't really say much about it, so this time they want to be very clear and not have any more of those surprises.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I should specify, I don't think they're going to correct it all in one fell swoop. I reckon over time they're going to fix things up. They actually teased a little bit on Twitter. They showed the Galarian forms of certain Pokemon like Ponyta next to their original forms, which aren't in the game. So it kind of shows that they do have other Pokemon ready to go. And I reckon they're probably going to do them in little batches maybe, and perhaps we'll get the first batch with this Direct.
Oh, so you think they'll actually add some Pokemon back into the decks?
I reckon so. I mean, there's some Pokemon in the decks which are, in the game data, which aren't obtainable. I believe Bulbasaur is in there, which I know you like.
Yes, my Bulby!
I mean, it also kind of ties in well with the whole thing they've been doing with the max raid battles, where they had that whole Magikarp event. We can have a better chance of catching a shiny Magikarp. And to kind of change it up was hey, you want to catch these new Pokemon? Check out these max raid battles. And then they just sort of slowly cycle them in to places. Or maybe they'll just integrate them fully into Sword and Shield. Be like, all right, they're appearing in this area. This is where you can find them. And there you go.
Someone brought over a truckload. Check it out.
I guess that's kind of the beauty of the wild area, is anything can appear there. So that'd be a great way to just sort of put Pokemon into the game. I do like the idea of max raid battles though, but I guess that might make them a bit limited. It's kind of hard to reshuffle them in if you're coming in at a certain point. But I guess any new Pokemon's a good thing though. There's still a lot to add in. I believe there's over 400, so there's definitely a long way to go.
I wonder if they'll do the raid battle for the introduction phase so that people can go out there and have a better chance of finding them, and then after that introductory phase, then they just shuffle into the regular random encounters in the wild area.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
How do you reckon they're going to handle mythicals and legendaries? Because I believe they've also found mythicals in the game code. Are they just going to distribute them, or they're going to have some sort of in-game event to getting around to them?
I don't know, because for the 20-year anniversary, they had that whole GameStop and other place card thing where you could go get the game code. So they could do some sort of an event for people to collect them, but I'm not sure. Do you have any ideas, Derek?
Yeah, it's a weird thing because we have the mystery gift now. It's just easily distribute the mythicals that way, because a lot of times with those codes, it's just well, here you go. Here's this mythical Pokemon. Nothing too crazy or involved with it. But I guess the raid battles do represent a possibility of making them at least a little bit more of an event where you have to take them down or something to that effect. But honestly, the distribution should be easier than ever. Just, hey, you want to do this? Go to the mystery gifts from this time to this time, and there you go. There's your shiny new Mew.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be easy, but it'd also be very unexciting. I think part of the issue with Sword and Shield right now is there's 3 legendaries, and they're all so easy to obtain, there's no mystery behind them. So what I kind of want to see, and I sort of predicted this in our 2020 discussion, but I want to see them handle a third version as DLC, and I think they could do that, because the 3DS and prior consoles were kind of limited in what they could do in that space, but the Switch is not. And it'd be very cool to see them just make entirely new areas to house the legendaries. Maybe you take a ferry somewhere, you go to a new island just to get Articuno or something like that.
That'd be really cool.
I'd love that. I don't really see it happening yet. I don't know. They haven't really made any strides to go that far out of their comfort zone, I feel like. But that would be really cool, because then people wouldn't feel like they have to buy a totally new game and play it all over again just to get the legendary.
Yeah.
The question is, would that be an update or DLC?
Oh yeah, they probably shouldn't like make you pay for Pokemon, which is that would cause a lot of backlash. Like if you can only get Zapdos by paying for this pack. Yeah, you're right. They probably shouldn't do that. But I can see them definitely making new areas though as DLC.
I mean, they could potentially make it even more exciting for especially old school fans if like. Okay, you want to catch the legendary birds? Well, here's a Kanto area that you go to for a little bit of time.
I do like that.
Or you want to catch the legendary dogs, Johto, and so forth. Like, just not like the full region, but at least a small section where you're going out and trying to catch these legendary Pokemon.
Yeah, that might be a good way around it. It also, I guess it would make sense as well if you could still trade Pokemon, regardless if you have the DLC, because that way you're not gatekeeping who can get the Pokemon and who can't, but you are still holding off those regions for those who pay.
Yeah, the actual exploration, the items, things like that you can get, maybe new TMs or TRs or whatever they might have in those new regions. Like make the DLC be the area themselves, and of course they'll have be able to include new wild Pokemon. So let's put in 20 or 30 new Pokemon for this area along with the legendary, and that's how you slowly introduce the dex. Maybe make a few bucks off of the DLC, depending on how they treat it. I'm not sure. And, having those legendary events. Plus, as you said, hopefully not gatekeeping and not allowing people to trade these Pokemon. Make the items in the actual like story of the area is kind of the focus of the DLC, and just a way to get the other Pokemon back in,
Right, and like once all the DLC's done, they can then sell like a third version, which is basically like the Game of the Year edition with all the DLC.
Yeah, exactly.
So they still get their money.
Exactly. Although knowing Pokemon, they might charge for all of it.
I'm sure.
Would you be interested in Belle? Would you want to go to past areas and catch Pokemon that way?
Yeah, that sounded really cool when you were describing. I was like envisioning it, and it sounded really cool. And it reminded me of the first time Pokemon Go was announced, and they had all these people fighting against Mewtwo. And I was like, that would be such a cool way to get the legendary in there. Like, have this massive raid battle that you and your friends can go take them on and catch them that way. So it sounds really neat to me. I'd be all in for it. Because I want my Bulbasaur.
They do have multiple options when it comes to this. That said, I'm not sure how much we'll actually see in this direct.
Yeah.
I think it might
probably
be
not going to be that much. I don't think they'd give us that much detail. But I am hoping that they fix up a couple of things too. Like the wild area is kind of laggy whenever you're online. I hope that they smooth that out some. I really do. That'd
be really nice to take care of and handle. And I think the other big thing that we have not heard about since they announced it is Pokemon Home, which is where the new service they're going to have where you put all your Pokemon in and you can transfer them around and things like that. So they might give more info on that. They might use that as an option to introduce some new Pokemon. Like you pay for Home, and hey, here's this special Mew or other mythical Pokemon that they'll do, which they've done in the past. Yeah. The only way to get Mew in Let's Go was to buy the Pokeball Plus.
Yeah, that makes sense. When they're introducing Home, they've got to have some more Pokemon to come along with it, because why would you use that service when all the Pokemon that you can already obtain are already in Sword and Shield? So I guess the point is you can, of course, transfer Pokemon that are in Sword and Shield already, but to really hit home with that service, I think there's got to be some new stuff coming with it.
Hit home.
Yeah, I'm glad someone got that. It'd be cool actually if they did new Galarian forms. Like if they brought some brand new Pokemon and put them into Sword and Shield, like do Galarian Lapras finally.
Ooh,
I like it.
I would like that. Yeah, that's a great idea.
I think it'd be fun, especially if they did it for the newer generations.
Do you think we'll also get information on Pokemon Sleep? Or do you think we're getting too far now after the 20 minutes?
When you say more information, do we have information? Do we know what this game is?
Well, we have the title.
Yeah. Maybe.
And I think it uses the Pokemon Go Plus, right? Doesn't it use
that? It has some kind of connection to Pokemon.
I guess they haven't really fully announced anything, really.
Yeah, this is a good chance to do it. I mean, they're focusing entirely on Pokemon. I mean, it'd be cool if the entire 20-minute direct is just someone sleeping. We're just watching them sleep.
Oh, gosh. Your version of cool is very strange.
I mean, it wouldn't be that different from the whole forest watching thing for 24 hours.
It
At
would.
least it's only 20 minutes.
I know. Oh, man.
It's like we're just watching
12-hour
Pikachu.
live stream of someone sleeping,
Yeah.
collecting their sleep data.
All right. What if it was Bulbasaur sleeping? Would you want to watch it then?
Aww. Well, not for 12 hours.
Well, 20 minutes.
Maybe 10 hours.
20 minutes. 10 minutes I'd be okay with. 10 minutes of cute Bulbasaur, 10 minutes of explanation, sure.
And that's time well spent for that direct.
I think a lot of people would be kind of upset if that was the case.
Just a bit.
There's one more spin-off that we do know about as well, being Detective Pikachu, which was very casually announced during a Pokemon conference for Switch. Do you think we'll see that, and do you think it's going to be a port or a brand new game?
I kind of forgot about that.
I'm thinking port, honestly. Maybe port with some added-in stuff to tie it into the movie.
Yeah, I guess you could also input some more Pokemon in there, because when they localized the 3DS game in worldwide, they added some like Gen 7 and Gen 6 Pokemon in there.
That is true. So it wouldn't surprise me to see some Detective Pikachu. I think we'll get some sort of spin-off with this one, whether it's Detective Pikachu or maybe a new mystery dungeon. Who knows? I mean, they might. I don't expect more than one, but the most likely, I think, it is Detective Pikachu.
Do you both think that spin-offs are done on mobile, or do you think they're going to focus more on the Switch now, or are we going to get more mobile spin-offs?
I don't know. The mobile spin-offs seem to be doing pretty well for them financially, so I wouldn't be surprised to see more of those as well. But I also could see the Switch spin-off happening too. I don't know about that one. What do you think, Derek?
I'm not sure how well those spin-offs do, because they're there, but then they're kind of done. I don't know if they're doing especially well, and so I guess it really does come down to whether they think they make more of a profit off of a Switch game or these mobile games. And right now, I think the Switch might be more attractive.
Maybe. It feels like their retention's quite low on mobile, so we'll see. I guess it's kind of pie in the sky because the original did okay, but I would love to see a Pokken 2. That was a great original concept for a fighting game. It'd be great to build upon it with some Gen 8 Pokemon, some more Gen 7 Pokemon, and just maybe have like a more compelling single player as well, because that really was the lowest point of the first Pokken.
Yeah. That would be great. I'd love to see that.
I guess my pitch for a better single player for Pokken is kind of have it like Pokemon Colosseum, where it's an RPG, but the combat's just replaced with like Pokken fights. So like you don't catch Pokemon, you literally just battle trainers, and every battle is like a proper fighting game fight.
Oh man, as soon as you said that, I immediately was like, oh, Pokemon Snap, what if they're actually doing it? What if that's the mobile game? Because your phone takes pictures. But the Switch has gyro. Now I'm super excited. Pokemon Snap, I want that. That's my pie in the sky wish.
I think every single time there's some sort of Pokemon news coming, we're all like, Pokemon Snap, now is the time. We've been saying that for like 10 years now.
I've given up.
Maybe now is
I'm
the time.
still hoping.
You gotta abandon hope in order to get that. It actually happens. Like, all right, they're done. Okay, now we're gonna do it.
So it's going to be 10 minutes of Bulbasaur sleeping, 9 minutes of talking about Pokemon sleep, and then 1 minute of saying Pokemon Snap's coming, bye.
Just the title, yeah.
Now I have Twitter up here, and it's funny to see the Pokemon trending so much, and along with what we've said with Pokemon Home, Pokemon Sleep, Detective Pikachu 2, they also have Diamond and Pearl trending.
All right, yeah.
So, do we think they'll actually show off I won't even say Diamond and Pearl remake, but it could be based on Pokemon's history before their revised generation. They typically do a remake. In this case, it would be Diamond and Pearl. It could also be a new Let's Go game.
I think it's way too early.
Yeah.
Sword and Shield launched in November. It's been a few months.
Mm-hmm.
Remakes don't need to be announced a year in advance. I think if they are going to do Diamond and Pearl, they can announce it in like mid 2020.
Mm-hmm. Like April.
I feel like there's almost no possibility of there being a remake right now.
I think there's one in the works, but I don't think they're going to announce it right now.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's going to be a Let's Go style remake or a proper like core game remake?
I mean, considering how much better Sword and Shield sold compared to Let's Go, and granted, all the remakes tend to do less than new generations. I don't know. That's tough.
Yeah, it is.
Because there's something exciting about going to Johto and having that remade in the Let's Go formula, but there's also something exciting about them going to Diamond and Pearl.
Let's Go, I thought, sold pretty well, though, at the time, didn't it?
It sold over 10 million copies, which is it's about in line with what other remakes would do, considering the install base of the Switch at the time. And I've got to imagine that Let's Go, I guess they'll probably have a lower budget for another Let's Go game than they would a full-on Gen 4 core game remake.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They'd have the excuse was like, okay, we don't have new Pokemon in there, but it's only these 251.
Exactly.
So.
What do you think, John? Do you think they'll? Which one?
Yeah, it's so tricky to say. I mean, Let's Go could be the future, but I don't know. I think I would prefer there to be a proper core Gen 4 remake, but Let's Go is definitely a good possibility too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think another major aspect of this is the fact that the Pokemon anime is doing something completely different with its new season. Rather than have Ash go to Galar and do the whole journey thing there, he's just going around the world and doing other things. Like, there's no structure for it. It's just new adventures in different places each week. And that opens it up a lot more for Pokemon to give them time to do things. Like, if he's just doing his own whatever each week, then there's no pressure for them. There's no need to okay, we have 3 years while the anime does this before we have to move on to the next Pokemon generation. This gives them a lot more time. So I think we might start seeing, especially with them being on, consoles now, giving themselves more time to get the next thing ready.
Which they
I really
need.
hope that's the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I did enjoy Sword and Shield, but it could definitely do with more time in the oven, and maybe that's what they're going to be doing over the year. Maybe they're just going to be correcting their mistakes, adding more. We don't know, but I do feel like DLC is going to be the most. It makes the most sense for them at this point. I feel for Sword and Shield.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so too. It would help introduce more Pokemon and allow people to keep their game and not have to buy a new one. So it's kind of like here you go, guys. Thank you.
Yeah. It's also more to do, too, because I feel like the Galar region, which I do enjoy, there could be more to do in there, though. The wild area is a good time sink, but I'd like just more activities to do.
Yeah, agreed. It's a great way to expand upon that game, I think.
I think that's our best bet, honestly, that DLC. Whether or not it happens this time again, it's hard to say how ambitious they'll be for this direct that's only 7 days into the new year. Or 9 days into the new year, I guess.
I guess one thing which was almost guaranteed not to happen, but could happen, what if the final Smash character is a Pokemon character, a Gen 8 Pokemon, and they're announcing it here?
Oh my gosh, I
did
didn't
not
consider
even think
that.
about that. Oh, man.
Oh, that'd be
I'm not sure if people would love or hate that.
Yeah, I mean, I think every single iteration of new Smash characters has had a Pokemon. Like, Smash 4 DLC had Mewtwo, Smash 4 had Smash Ultimate had Incineroar. Every Smash game has had a Pokemon put into it, so what if they're closing the Fighters Pass with a Pokemon?
Galarian Ponyta. It would be really random.
Yeah. I did make me wonder, who they would pick. I mean, the starters are the best bets.
Yeah.
And of the starters, I don't know who I'd pick of the starters.
But having a horse would be so random. That would be a great off-the-wall character.
Attack with the horn?
How would it fight? It's so...
I mean, my first thought was honestly Sirfetch'd.
Oh, yeah. He's ready for battle.
Yeah.
Another sword user. He'd fit in.
I guess you can treat it more like a lance, but yeah, it's still kind of a sword user. And he does have a sword and shield, so there you go.
Yeah.
He does. That's true.
Yeah, I was trying to fight this battle with Gen 7, but I'd love a Galarian Pokemon trainer. Just use all the starters. Reuse the concept of current Pokemon trainer, but use all of the Sword and Shield Pokemon, so like Scorbunny, the others, Sobble, Grookey.
That'd be awesome. I'd like that.
Which one gets to be the first?
Yeah,
which
I was
one
just
gets
about
second,
to ask
third?
that.
Oh yeah, that's tricky. I'd say...
Sobble Baby.
Yeah, maybe. I feel like Sobble's final form is just so cool, though. He's like a secret agent. That could work really cool for Smash.
That is true.
But maybe he would cross over too much with Greninja, though.
I mean, Lucario is pretty similar to Greninja, too, the way they play.
That's true, yeah. I think Grookey would be a fun first form, because he's just so agile. He would have a great aerial combat, and it would set him apart from Kanto Pokemon Trainer, who has Squirtle as its first form.
And I think Raboot might be a decent mid-generation one of the three.
Yeah, I guess we should go and reverse what Kanto has then. So like just go like
Sounds like it.
water, fire, yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I'd be down, but man, that would
It'd be deflating.
The one direct,
Cool, but it would also be very deflating for the final character to be a Pokemon.
a little bit, but it might happen.
But there are more coming, so
Exactly.
that would help it not feel as like, oh, a Pokemon.
That'd be wild.
Yeah, that would be crazy. Man, now that's actually planted in my head. And John, before we recorded, he said Wooloo pinball, and that I cannot get out of my head now. So make that happen. Please, make that happen.
That's the dream.
I'd be down for just a small pinball game, or just, hey, do another Pokemon Puzzle League. Something smaller and easier, and pop it on the eShop, and boom, you're good.
Yeah. And the last pinball game was on GBA, right? So
Yeah,
it's been
I
a
think
while.
so. I liked them. I still have them. Play them.
You can even take advantage of the Switch's, what's it called, where it goes vertically, and
Oh, the Tate mode.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Lots of possibilities. I don't know how much we'll actually see, but it is 20 minutes long, so again, we'll find out exactly what they have to say. But these Pokemon Directs are well known for kind of taking their time and not just shoving out a bunch of information as quickly as
Right.
possible, so
Bulbasaur sleeping.
there you go. But any other predictions for the Pokemon Direct?
I'm not expecting too much. I don't want to put too
Yeah.
much out there in case we overhype people. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah, Wooloo Pinball's a lock, but apart from that,
Don't want to overhype people, but hey, new Smash character might get announced, so there you go.
I know,
Good
right?
job, John.
whoops.
Alright, well, I think that covers it for our Pokemon predictions, so thank you for watching, and if you liked this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. And of course, be sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more on Pokemon and other things gaming as well. Until next time, bye.